Huzzah! Let's see that we're back and we're up and running and ready to go. Just be safe a couple times.
Product not yet rated.
No, I don't want to listen to myself talk. Go away. Well, that's a good sign though, because that means that we're on. That's what I like to see and hear. But not really. But it's not working on my laptop. Oh, wait. Video loading. Live. Ah! Excellent. That's what I like. Why isn't my little thing working? I'm very sad. I'm looking on the Marvel Heroes forums real quick just to see if my little thing in my signature works, and it doesn't appear to be. And incidentally, one thing that has been really annoying me is this says collect holiday sorit. Soirit. It's supposed to say spirit. I don't know who spelled that, but they spelled it wrong, and it's very frustrating. But neither here nor there. I'm going to wait just a little bit, see if we can get a couple of people in here, or a few, hopefully. But we'll see. We'll see. Most importantly, I'm wondering why this isn't working correctly. This is very strange. Let's go somewhere else. For those of you who are unfamiliar in my the signature in my my Marvel Heroes forum posts always has a link to my stream, and it's supposed to say when I'm online. It worked for a while, but it's not working now, which is rather frustrating and very annoying. I don't know what the deal is. But either way, there's a couple people. So what I'm going to be doing today is actually something that's fairly straightforward, but also very important, and that is talking about cosmic terminals. Cosmic terminals were introduced a good while ago, and the idea is that it's just a more advanced version of terminals so that we can go and we can farm and get shiny gear and all this kind of stuff. And it's good. It's a good thing to have. It's something that's very important that we need because we have to be able to farm. We have to be able to get the uniques and the artifacts and all those kinds of things that we need, particularly when you think of things like the bosses. We've got boss-specific artifacts. We've got the infamous Gem of the Curse. We've got let's see, Black Tom Shillelagh. We've got the Magneto Was Right t-shirt. We've got Taskmaster's Guide, Fighting Guide for Losers, or whatever it's exactly called. I don't remember. But either way, there's a ton of different things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how to prep for going into cosmic terminals, and also essentially just which ones to go to and what the most efficient ways to go through them are. So that said, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever it happens to be, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm watching on my laptop. So if you have anything that you wish to ask, then feel free to. Now, as you can see, I am and will be playing as Rocket Raccoon for the vast majority of this. Most of the reason being simply that I like Rocket, and the version that I have is actually really strong. So, oh well, you're very, very welcome. I'm glad that you like my beginner's guide. That's one of the reasons why I made it, is to help people. So if you want, you can stick around for all the cosmic stuff. But yes, I'm actually planning on doing a version 3.0 of my beginner's guide as well. It's going to be pretty awesome and modular. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting. But either way. For now, I am working with Rocket, and the primary reason being, like I said, he is pretty decked out. And if you're going to be farming cosmics, at least in a really good sense of the term, you want good gear. You need to have something good, because if you don't have good gear, then you're going to be in big trouble, and it's going to take you a lot longer to get through. And the balance becomes, do you want to run red terminals a whole bunch or run a cosmic one time? So that's the thing. I know you probably can't see too well with my my broadcaster in the way here. So what I will do is I will move this over just a little bit. Actually, we'll just put this down on the bottom. Wink. just like that. So you can see I've got my Raptor Egg or Raptor Stone. I've got the Reality Chaos Portal, and then the 2 Latverian Regalia. I've got my Well-Rolled Dupe Inspiration, and I don't have level 60 uniques all across the board, but I've got good solid uniques and the rank 5 legendary. I also finished up my Punisher Herbie's unique level, and I got Intelligence, which is perfect for Rocket. So Rocket Raccoon is a summoner, so I can bring in a bunch of really nasty little devices that will tear stuff apart. The thing is that you always hear everybody talk about 2 major things when it comes to characters. You can run any content with any character, and it doesn't matter what your build is. And that is true. It doesn't matter what your build is. It doesn't matter what your hero is. The problem is if you want to farm efficiently, if you want to go in, take down the bad guys, get the loot, and get out, then you do need some, I guess, clarifications, or I guess you could say you need some kind of regulation, so to speak. You can go into a raid as any hero, but you need some kind of gear. You can go into a red raid as any hero, but you need a lot of gear. Same thing for efficient farming. If you want to farm efficiently, then you need a good solid hero and you need good solid gear. The things that I look for most for cosmic terminal farming is really area of effect attacks and very strong DPS, because area of effect will get you the bounty chests faster. Bounty chests mean more loot. If you have more loot, then you get more and more and more, and etc. etc. And if you have high DPS, then obviously you can clear through them quickly. So that's sort of the who. Now the where is another major question. One of the things that a lot of people let's see. What do I recommend for Jean? Oh, Jean Grey. So just as a brief aside to answer your question there. So geez, there's a decent amount. Atlantis is definitely a good choice, pretty much regardless for the critical damage, but pretty much any hero can also really benefit from Lumeria, because that is health on hit, and you really can't go wrong with health on hit. But also for Jean specifically, since so many of her attacks are area of effect based, you could go with Adelan as well, because Adelan increases damage with area of effect powers. So there's a lot of different choices. You've also got Xander, which is ranged. The Gibberim, not really that great for her specifically. Let's see what was else. She doesn't have a lot of DOT, so I would go with probably one of those. Or here you go. I don't know how to pronounce this exactly. Chithone, I believe, the relic of Chithone, gives mental damage when you hit. So meh. Because she is a mental character. But any of those 4 would be solid choices. I would recommend looking at build guides though, just to see exactly what they say. But very good question. Incidentally, as far as the cosmic terminals are concerned, that's what I wanted to focus on. But if you have any other questions, feel free to ask just like we had. So um, character very important, gear very important. The character attack types also very important, because you want the most efficient farming experience possible. And on that note, the actual terminals themselves. There's a lot of terminals to choose from. A lot of people want the biggest loot the fastest they can get it, which means a lot of people will try to farm Curse. I don't like farming Curse by myself, simply because it takes too long and he's too strong. I will gladly go into a Curse farming group, and we can all go in and do everything like that. Not a problem. The other ones that I really don't like, Castle Doom. I cannot stand trying to farm Doctor Doom because it takes so long, especially with somebody like Rocket. Now, I can use somebody like Nightcrawler, my other main, and he has a lot easier time of it because he can teleport and get to Doctor Doom faster. But even then, the fight itself takes so long, it's just a waste. Again, if you can get into a group, not bad. Same thing with the aim weapon facility, not fun. Essentially, for me, there are 2 go-to terminals that I always enjoy going. First, the Church of Purification with Juggernaut. One of the biggest reasons for this is Black Tom Shillelagh. It is one of the boss-specific artifacts that he drops, and it is awesome for energy-dependent characters. It's really, really good just overall. I've actually got one in my stash here, I believe. I think it's still in here. That I can show you. And if I don't, then I'll just move on. very quickly. Yeah, I don't see it immediately, but it essentially looks like a cane with a skull on top of it. Now, yeah, I don't see it. But on my Star Lord, I've got one right there. Right, so Black Tom Shillelagh, you deal out more energy damage, gives more damage for energy attacks, and it gives you health. Excellent for any energy specific hero. So that's one of the reasons I really like Church of Purification. Problem with Juggernaut is he has the invulnerability shield, so sometimes you gotta wait a little bit. Taskmaster is the other one that I really, really like to farm, and that a lot of people like to farm because it's fast. You can go in, find him, take him down quickly. He doesn't have any wacky antics that ruin what you're trying to do or anything along those lines. Hood has issues with antics because he has teleportation, so he can jump around, which is really frustrating. Same thing with Shocker and Doc Ock. I really don't like the items that they have, and they have some pretty annoying antics as well as just trying to navigate around some of the obstacles. So just to go through very quickly, I'm going to hop into the Taskmaster Institute, and for those of you who aren't familiar with Cosmic Terminals, one thing that you have is you've got the Bounty Hunter quests. So the Bounty Hunter quests will unlock chests at the very end that give you more loot, and all you have to do is defeat X number of hostiles, right? And this is actually one of the other reasons why I prefer Juggernaut to any of the other ones as well. So I didn't switch my mouse over. Uh, the reason that I like Juggernauts is because he's got 3 levels of bounty chests that you can get, whereas Taskmaster only has 1. So you have to get all of the guys. And you may notice that as Rocket, it's pretty awesome because all you have to do is you essentially have to run into a larger group of bad guys, drop some turrets, and then you can essentially melt them away. Sometimes I don't even bother sticking around. I'll just drop the turrets and go. But again, in the case of Taskmaster, it's a little bit tougher simply because it's smaller and you need to make sure that all of the bad guys are taken out, not just a few of them. With the Church of Purification, it's definitely a lot easier though. That said, typically if you are in a really good full-fledged farming capable area, I guess you could say, or a frock, you've got good hero, you've got good gear, you've got good everything like that, then typically running through a cosmic with 1, maybe 2 bounties will probably take you 3 to 4 minutes. It can be less. I can do Church of Purification in around 2.5. Depending, obviously, right now I'm taking a little bit longer because I'm trying to track down some of the bad guys. Again, one of the reasons why doing bounty is not necessarily a great idea. But I'm already kind of committed because I'm more than halfway there. And on that note, as far as things are concerned with regard to the ultimate, I mentioned that it takes 2.5, 3, maybe 4 minutes, depending on how dedicated you are to the bounties. Then one of the issues you'll run into is, you can use your ultimate every 10 minutes or more frequently, depending on what your rank is. If you have higher ranks in your ultimate, then you'll obviously get it back faster, and that'll help you farm as well. Because ultimates will melt down bosses, like without a doubt. I'll show you. I'm going to go into Juggernaut after this. So you can see it's taking me a decent amount of time to try to take out all those things. Are the items worth spending the time? So that is a very good question. And in part, it's I'm doing this mostly as the demonstration, but if you have a seriously beefed up Riff and Sif. So one thing about farming Cosmics is the best times to do it are with things like the Omega event and the Cosmic Chaos, because there are massive server-side Riff, Sif, and XP increases. So you'll get a bunch of Omega points. You'll get a bunch better items, or theoretically you'll get better items. So getting the bounty chests, if you can do it efficiently, is definitely worthwhile. So I've been in here for a good, 2 or 3 minutes now, and I'm not done with the bounty. I'm having to track down these groups of like 2 or 3 guys. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to take my phone out here, so for the next couple, when I go in, I'm actually going to time myself so that y'all can see what I'm talking about. But you can see I'm basically at Taskmaster, and I still need 5 bad guys. One thing that is kind of nice is most of the cosmic bosses will have some kind of a summon. So you see, he's got the Sentinels, and unfortunately, that's it. He's only got the Sentinels, but those still count as hostiles towards the bounty count. Now, that said, it probably doesn't really do a whole lot of good, because especially with Sentinels, but it can still help. And it's kind of a gamble if you want to do all of the hostiles outside or not. But as far as the bounty chests are concerned themselves, if you can do it efficiently, you definitely want to do them. Oh, sweet! I got a holiday spirit buff. All right. Da, 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 da. So with those, that managed to finish off everything that I needed. So you can see this is the bounty chest right here. Yay! The biggest thing that I find is with the XP. That's really the one thing that you tend to get. I don't really like going after cosmic bosses for the purpose of trying to get items. It doesn't work as well, and in order to do it really efficiently, you need to vastly increase the Riff and Sif. You certainly can, and I certainly have done it before, but I just personally don't like it that much. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go into the Cosmic Juggernaut. I'm going to use my ultimate on this one, and I'm going to start timing myself as soon as the screen loads up. And we're up. So ideally, this will probably take about 2.5 or 3 minutes to go through the entire thing, and I'm only going to get one bounty chest. So the first stop on the bounty chest is 125 bad guys. And you may have noticed that I dropped a couple of turrets back there and then just moved on. Again, I'm trying to be as efficient as possible with getting all the bad guys. Don't kill me! No, you ruined it! You ruined my time! Ugh! That's one thing that you obviously want to avoid. But I fail to avoid. Go, go, go! And they're still attacking my turrets, though. Go turrets, get them! So, that obviously happens. Hopefully I'll be able to make up some of the time when I actually get to Juggy, though. What I like to do, especially with this one, and pretty much any other one, is you want to look for the larger groups of the bad guys, and then AoE them. And then you can just move on. The only time I'll go back is if I get like an Omega Point or an Eternity Splinter or something along those lines. There's a nice group. Incidentally, that's one thing that can really help you as well. If you can get some kind of skill or item, power, whatever it is, that helps you see the bad guys on the mini-map, it will vastly increase your ability to farm these. Because you're much better able to track down where they actually are. Alright, so I'm actually gonna ultimate once I get to Juggernaut. That'll help out my time pretty vastly. And again, depending on how long you take, you can use your ultimate every second, third, maybe fourth if you're really, really fast. And that's what I like to see. I like to see him use the invulnerability as soon as I walk in, because that means that as soon as it drops, we can start to melt him. Pew, 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 pew! So he should be able to take him down before he gets his not ultimate, but before he gets his invulnerability back up. And done. Alright, so that was 2 minutes and 25 seconds, including a death, which isn't bad. And you see I got one Omega Point there, and not quite another one. We do have the increased Riff and Sif from the holiday boosts right now, but not doing a whole lot there. Right, so you can see that was really, really fast, or considerably fast. I mean, 2.5 minutes is pretty decent time for doing something like that. And if you need to get items, then you can use all of the different boosts that we've got. We've got Clea, the vendor who gives out the fortune cards and all that good stuff. So we're going to hop in again, and this time, obviously, I can't use my ultimate, but we'll see how well we do. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to time myself again. Hopefully I don't die this time. Oh no, my phone went to sleep. It was like, you're not pushing any buttons. Alright, here we go. So we'll drop them here. And melt. Some people will just do boss rushes, which is perfectly fine too, because that is where you get the best gear. But if I typically now farming the cosmics, I will primarily be farming cosmics for the purposes of getting omegas. And if you want to get omegas, then you want to get more XP. And best ways to get XP are to take down these guys in massive quantities, and also to get those bounty chests as well, because the bounty chests have quite a bit of XP in them. So definitely good ways to go on both sides. And you can see pretty clearly that Rocket himself is just good for this, simply because you can fight on a lot of different fronts simultaneously. Between the main summons that you have with the blasters and also the suppression turrets, you also have Groot if you've got the right items. Then you've got the Doom drones. You've got all sorts of crazy stuff going on. All of which is very, very valuable for DPS, just overall DPS, not even just Rocket's DPS on his own. And you see I actually went a little bit overboard there. I was just so excited. And see, he's got beetles. So the beetles are nice because if I was low on the bounty, then I'd be able to make it up here. Obviously, don't need to, though. Alright. So again, I can't use my ultimate, but I should still be able to take him out relatively quickly. It might even be about as fast as last time, simply because I died. But by far, Rocket is my favorite cosmic rusher. And done. Minute 59 from start to finish. So you can rush extremely efficiently if you just know what you're doing. If you know how to get your build, if you know how to get your gear, and if you know your prey, so to speak. Oh, there's Sealuk. Got a nice purple insignia. Okay, it's not really nice, but it's a purple insignia. I'll take it. So, though, like I said, those are my two favorite ones to rush, and I'll go into a couple of the other ones that I normally don't, just to show you why why I don't, essentially. And I'm gonna go into Kingpin, but I'm gonna do that last because I want my ultimate back before I do it. I really cannot stand going after Kingpin. I will do Dr. Octopus here, though. So, like I said, one of the reasons I don't really like Dr. Octopus is the loot that you get, or rather the lack of loot. The other issue is it has the same problem as Taskmaster, where for the bounty chest, you have to essentially take out every single guy in the entire warehouse practically, because you need the 125, you don't have the different levels. And I mean, the Doctor Octopus himself is just kind of annoying because he can move around a lot, and it's frustrating, especially for Rocket, because the suppression turret, this one right here, relies on the bad guys just staying relatively close to it. And if the bad guys are moving around, then it doesn't do any good. That said, you can certainly just do the boss rushes again. One thing that you actually can do as well to help with boss rushing specifically is if you have a hero like, well, Rocket actually has one too, but like Rocket or Storm or Moon Knight or, I mean, Nightcrawler, anybody that has a faster travel capability power, be it through a teleport or a flight, whatever it is, then you can certainly use them and just run past everything else. Did I get a good one? No, Magneto. Nice. So, speaking of which, I got my holiday buff. And one of the really nice things about cosmic farming that you can actually plan out fairly well is, for example, today, the shared quest is actually a terminal shared quest. So today is actually a really good day to go and farm terminals, simply because not only are you going to be working towards the shared quest, but you're also going to be working towards getting whatever else you want, be it Omega or what else? Items, whatever it happens to be. Now, let's see how lucky I am and see if I can get a Magneto Was Right t-shirt to go along with my supergroup. Everybody hope. Everybody hope. Everybody hope. So again, one of the issues with Magneto's here is just the fact that uh, you've got the 125, but that is the only bounty that he has. And I do not like having a single bounty available. I don't think it's worthwhile because you have to do way too much sort of search and find for the bad guys in order to make it worthwhile to do. It's really, really frustrating. Um, and not only that, but one of the other issues that I have with a lot of these is the randomness of the terminals. There's only a handful of the terminals that are always the exact same map. So, for example, we've got Hood, which is always in the cargo freighter, which is always the same. We've got Fisk Tower. We've got Curse in Odin's Palace. What else do we got? There's at least one or two others. Doctor Doom's is kind of the same mostly. There's a couple of very important things that change though that can be extremely frustrating. Um, Other than that, those are the only ones I can really think of. Wow, two unique. Really, I got two uniques, but I got no T-shirt. Come on, really? So see, farming items, get good stuff. It's pretty awesome. Incidentally, if you all want to join, then let me know because this is going pretty well. See, I got the stapler. I got a bunch of gifts that I gotta open. Give me my special festive gift. No, yay, bro! It's body armor, the one that I don't use. Huzzah! All right, let's go. See, quick! Just move in, move out, take them down, and move on. Next up, we're going to go into, well, again, these are all the ones that I don't really go into. And for the record, I'm not going to go into some of them at all just because I really can't stand them. But Sinister Lab is another one that I don't personally like too much. And part of the reason for this is actually Mr. Sinister. But one of the nice things is this is one that has 2 levels of bounty. So if you've got a little bit of extra time even, then you can fairly easily meet the first one because there do tend to be these larger groups of bad guys. And incidentally, he does have the Sinister's bioengineered curious item, which I really like using with my rocket here, or any summoner for that matter. Okay. Summoners, I would argue, probably the best for general cosmic farming if you're going with the bounties. If you're not going bounties, then you want the high single target DPS, somebody like Moon Knight, Mr. Fantastic, people like that. They're the ones that can really clear out the boss rush styles more. I'm already here. No! Let's go finish up this bounty. It's not taking me too long. But see, this can be a problem, and again, this is one of the issues with the randomly generated terminals, of which I mean, most of them are randomly generated. But one of the issues with them is simply, it might take you 10 or 15 seconds longer to reach the boss one time than it does any other time. And it's not necessarily bad, it just throws in a couple of extra variables that you might not necessarily want to have. But this should pretty much do it for me. I'm not planning all of the bad guys just because one thing that's nice about Mr. Sinister is I know for sure that he's going to have extra baddies because he calls in the clones. And since he calls in clones, that means that we are much better off as far as being able to not be completely finished with a bounty when we reach him. I apologize. Incidentally, I do hate missile reflection. But the nice thing about Rocket is that the BFG actually goes through missile reflection, as do the plasma cannon and the gravity mine. Both of them go through it, so that's pretty helpful. And then see, we got our nice bounty chest here, and a unique. Hooray! Oh, and no room. Oh well, I don't really need a Uru forged anyway. Yay! farming is fast if you got the right equipment. Farming is fun, and most importantly, it can be very efficient once you reach the point where you're able to do it. Now, I do have my ultimate back, so I'm going to go into Fisk Tower. And if any of you have ever tried like really hardcore farming Kingpin, then you know why it's so painful. Uh, the one nice thing is that the map is always the same. That's like the only really nice thing I can say about it. Everything else is pretty terrible. You've only got the one bounty chest, so you have to take out a fairly large portion of the bad guys. And the worst part is this is the only terminal where you're essentially fighting 3 bosses at once. The one time where it was actually worthwhile to do this was when there was a glitch just after Cosmic Terminal started, and every single bad guy up here, that is Kingpin, Elektra, and Bullseye, all dropped boss loot. And that was a while ago. Like I said, it was basically when they first started doing a lot of this. So that is the one reason why I really do not like going after Kingpin. The only way I'll do it is if I have my ultimate ready, so that I can just stand here and just, melt him down. Like so. That is the only way that I'll do it. Other than that, no. It gets too frustrating regardless of who I'm playing as. Wow, I've gotten a lot of uniques. I didn't expect to get that many. I know, right? I have such problems. But incidentally, one thing that is helping, I'm sure, is my little pet here. I didn't even take him out. My little Punisher Herbie, because I got my +3 intelligence, which gives summoned ally damage of 4% each. So that's a total of an additional 12%, which means that I am at 421.1% damage for my summoned allies. Which is pretty good. It's definitely not a bad spot to be in, especially when you're talking about farming. So here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do my usual hangout, which is the Church of Purification. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick all of my random stuff into the stash so I won't have to stop. And I'm just going to time myself doing a total of 3 runs as quickly as I can, doing the 1 bounty. Right, so that's essentially my normal, this is how I farm, this is what I do type of thing. So I'm going to do that, see how efficient we can be, just as a general thing. Again, my ultimate has now been used, so I'm not going to be able to use it on the first time. I'll probably be able to use it the 3rd time, though. All right, so we'll just see what we can get. Maybe we'll get a Black Tom Shillelagh, too. All right. So, and I might not talk as much because, although I might still talk because it's not really that difficult when you're Rocket. Alright, and we're off. Go, 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 go! That was a bad start. I clicked and didn't move. Come on, Groot. Alright, let's do this. Whee! Done. And incidentally, after I've done this 3 more times, then I'll probably have the henchman requirement of the terminals completed as well. And also I will try to watch the chat too. I almost forgot about that. Barely got 80. Splinter. Alright. Let's see what kind of summons we get.
You know what invulnerable means?
Ah, none. Weak. So that happens sometimes. Oh, whoa, this'll work. Juggernaut has no summon affixes, so I can't bolster my my defeat hostiles numbers. But that enormous group was obviously a huge help. No extra bad guys, kind of a blessing and a curse. Defeats are good because you have stuff like Rogue Synergy or Punisher's Synergies, where you get, well, I guess not rogues because hers is on hit, but you get health and spirit on defeat of bad guys, so it can really help with power management of various sorts. But depending on who you play as, it might not be that big of a deal. Right? Nothing there, and nothing there. Let's move on. Next! Alright, so 2 more times, and we'll see what the total time is. Now, typically, I mentioned a little while ago that if you're doing this and you're doing it during like the Omega or the Cosmic Chaos event, something like that, where there's massive server-side boosts to experience and Riff and Sif and all that good stuff, then I will typically clear like basically 1.5 Omega points every single run. I haven't really done it a great deal. I haven't just sat down and farmed like hours and hours on end, at least not until relatively recently. I've done it for, a good half hour or an hour. So my Omega is still a little bit on the low side, but incidentally right now for my rocket I don't have any Omega points spent. They're all still sort of sitting in the bank. Alright, come on. You need another one of those nice big groups like last time. That was a big help. Incidentally, one thing I didn't note is the costume core, because costume core can be a huge kind of make it or break it item for farming of any sort, really. But particularly in this case, because you can have situations where you need the 25%, or you need the temporary invulnerability. Excuse me, whatever it happens to be. And if you don't have it, then you can be in really big trouble. So on my rocket, I do have the 25%, and I actually don't remember what the other affixes are. Fighting. Why did I get fighting? I honestly don't remember. Not that fighting is bad. Ooh, vibranium. Don't have a lot of those. You tell him, Rocket. Alright, one more. Let's see how well we can do. Come on, come on, come on. Incidentally, it looks like my ultimate's not going to be ready. Alright, let's go. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Faster, faster. I think it's kind of cool that I still have the damage buff, too. Because those last, what, 2 minutes? That's just about the perfect amount of time. Just what I need. I know I got it last time, so it's probably almost dead. Alright, there we go. Alright, moving, moving. Now, obviously, this is a fairly intense way to farm. The idea is maximizing XP per minute and items per minute and, whatever other... Well, not necessarily items per minute, because that would just be boss rushing. But just really optimizing it. No, I gotta stop talking. Ooh, dupe. I'm just trying to get everything done as efficiently and as quickly as possible. I'm not going to bother with the dupe because they take too long. And it is fairly intense. I normally I'll like listen to music or watch a video or something like that. I don't think I've ever done it live though, so that's kind of a new thing for me personally. Juggy, come back. Is he doing his charge? I can't see. Oh, so that would be yes, he is doing his charge. That's one of the problems that I have with characters like this. You get all the particle effect nightmares, makes it tough. Although it's much worse with the farming groups. Come on, come on, come on. And are you gonna invulnerable now? Oh, let's take him out first. Where's my Groot? Get him, Groot. Boom. So that was 7 minutes for 3. So essentially looking at like 2 minutes and 30 seconds ish for each one. No, 2:20 for each one. So pretty solid. And again, if you do that for, a half hour or 45 minutes on the end days for Omega or during Cosmic Chaos, whatever it happens to be, any of those events, then you can make massive amounts of Omega, get tons of items, and be in really, really good shape. Just remember that you need to pick the correct hero. You want to have good AoE. You want to have good movement capabilities if they're available, if you want to utilize them. And you want to have really good gear. Gear normally isn't important, but if you want to farm efficiently, gear is extremely important because you need to have the high DPS, you need to have the massive damage, all that kind of stuff. If you want to do the basic boss farming, then just go with somebody like Moon Knight or Mr. Fantastic so that you can just go in, take out the boss, and be done with it. Actually, I'm going to try that out real quick. It's been a little while since I played it as my Moon Knight. But somebody like Moon Knight is designed as single target DPS, just like Mr. Fantastic. So I'm actually going to go into Taskmaster here for this. But the problem is that there's really not a lot of really good, solid, not single target, but area of effect attacks. So you see we just have like basic punch. We've got these little things, which, I mean, aren't bad. We've got the ricocheting thing here. The part of the problem with Moon Knight is that you need to get this up right here, the tribute to Khonshu, so that you can use one of the gifts. If you don't do that, then you're in a bit of trouble because that's how you get a lot of his DPS. So I will try to get that as quickly as I can. It shouldn't take too long, but you can see it's a much, much bigger struggle trying to move through these guys with Moon Knight. Now again, this particular build I'm working with is not really designed for mobs. This is designed as a boss killing, like raid ready build for Moon Knight. So that's certainly part of it as well. But regardless, we're ready to go now. Alright, come on, buddy. See? Oh, worthless! You really want to get a brutal on that last hit. That's where Moon Knight gets a lot of his power. For those of you who haven't played as him or aren't really familiar, the idea with Moon Knight is the more damage you the more damage you take, the less health you have, the more damage you actually do, and the higher things like your crit and stuff like that are. Really? I ran out of spirit? Not cool, man. There we go. Ugh. Yeah! Cosmic Taskmaster Medallion. Just what I never wanted. Boo! Thanks for nothing, game. RNG. You're worthless. And... mine. So just as an example, that's more of the boss rush, obviously. Like I said, I haven't done a lot with Moon Knight in the recent times, so not as good with him as I am with Rocket, just as far as moving and grooving and all that. But you can see I do have decent items for him. I've got my Gawk, I've got my Array, Kung Fu Sequence, AI chip. Not much else. I'm not done with the axe though, but I've got all the uniques and decent pet. So I've got all the makings of a good solid thing, and a lot of people do boss rushes with Moon Knight as well. So those are really the basic things that you need to figure out. First and foremost, do you want to do boss rushes or do you want to do bounty chests as well? If you want to do bounty chests, then look for somebody with good AoE as well as at least reasonable boss killing potential. If you want to do just straight boss rushes, then go all out with boss killing mechanics. There's a lot of characters that have things like plus 30 damage to bosses with specific powers and things of that nature. So those are definitely good ways to go. The second thing that you need to figure out is, do you have the best gear? Do you have good enough gear that you're actually able to go into these cosmic terminals and take down the bad guys fast enough that it's worthwhile? Because otherwise, it might be more worthwhile to just run a red, 3, 4, even 5 times before you would be able to finish a cosmic, because cosmics are just difficult to do. They're very tough. So make sure that you have the gear. Make sure you know your character, know their powers, how they work, and all that stuff. Right? So for me, I highly recommend summoners for this purpose. I obviously very much recommend Rocket. You guys saw how quickly and efficiently he can melt stuff down. Um, Using Rocket is a great way to go about doing the farming with the bounty chests. Moon Knight is good for just boss rushing with his gruesome frenzy, his signature. So that's a good way to go. As is Mr. Fantastic. He's also good for just the bosses. But just make sure that you've got decent gear. That's really what it comes down to. If you've got decent gear and if you've got the will to just sit and rush and rush and rush and farm, then you'll be able to get a ton of uniques, get a ton of omega points, a ton of all that kind of stuff in pretty much no time. I mean, you all saw as I was playing, I got what, 6 uniques in the span of not even an hour, just by rushing a few cosmic terminals. Granted, one of those was with the holiday buff, so that doesn't really count. But either way, that's pretty much it for me. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, then feel free to voice them. You can message me on Twitch. You can put comments in my YouTube channel as well. I'm going to put this video over on YouTube. You can PM me in the forums or in game, whatever you want to do. But either way, thanks so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.